Might I be of service? Might I be of service, sir? Might I be of service, sir? Might I be of service? Might I be of service, sir?
What's the haps? Here and now, got its ups and downs, but focusing on the past like it was any better, that's just old world blues.
Might I be of service? Might I be of service? Might I be of service, sir? Might I be of service?
Did you even know you were wearing me? Medic supplies adequate.
Preposterous! Not an angry bone in my body. Hmm? Yo! Hello there. You are there, aren't you? Forgive my confusion. So hard to tell these days. You seem familiar somehow. I'm guessing you're here for your brain. Little hard to see you. Can you walk into my left, right? Oh, well, that's good. Were we supposed to fight? I certainly don't feel violent, but, well, these contraptions... After all, it... Oh, a variety of reasons. You're something of a... You see, you are the most successful brain extraction... If you were to go back with what your brain could be popped back in and you could walk right out of here. I'm not sure, except that I'm sure there's a very good reason for it. I have very good... Even if I forget them occasionally. Although I... Now, that seems to be rather hormonal of you. Flight off... Your brain is here, safe with me. We chat over mentats. Oh, curiosity. I experience that less now that I know everything. Or maybe it was when I found out some unpleasant answers. The ghosts aren't real? That changes everything. Please be my guest. The receptor is the... Oh. Oh, I was probably tripping hard on Psycho when I sent that. Had to work myself... So many chems, such varieties. As for the Psycho, sometimes get the chem disposited. I find things... Well, every scientist needs an army. Mine came to me after these rather large scorpions kept coming in from the... How scary, I thought. But they had some... Then I thought, what if they shot energy bolts and acted as walking eyes? Then I thought of... Did I? Maybe I did. Can't have them leaving. Some reason for it. You and your brain are quite alike. I'm sure it knows. This name... Someone's been watching too many old-world science fiction movies. I I must admit I have a vulnerability for... like the think... Now, trap? What? I certainly didn't until you said trap, and then I said... The radar fence to keep the think tank hemmed in wasn't really enough. They keep testing things. I suspect I have Plan C's in place, but I may have coded myself to forget them, just in case. So I had to do something else to keep them occupied here. Or as you... Oh, Dr. O, which is actually not his real name multiplied, since you can't multiply his real name in the first place. They have all forgotten themselves, and not only themselves, but I reprogrammed their chronometer. It was a merciful lobotomy, really, thinking back. They were my friends, and the world isn't ready for that kind of too-far thing-taking. Really? It is so unlike me to make an error. Well, it's simple. Despite their many failings, without something to distract them, make them afraid, then you came along, you see, your brain had a... Yes, very good. I should have mentats ingest you instead of the other way around. In any event, you showed up at the think tank, and bullets in the head are usually much more fatal. But it was enough for the auto-doc. That gave the think tank the knowledge its brains couldn't. If they obtain that procedural data, they can use it to mush. And once they're off the reservation... Yes, I certainly wouldn't loop it on purpose. Purpose? I am far too sophisticated to make such a... I consider my threat broadcast is designed to instill and install fear. And along with the emotional download, other data rides the fear carrier. It prompted them to focus on retrieving those technologies and bring them to attack me. And coincidentally, pardon my language, all those technologies are needed to put a brain, your brain, back into its skull properly. Oh, that means... Oh, well... Yes, my overly aggressive cammed-up broadcast was designed to keep reinforcing... Oh, and the get me the things to castrate your only possible escape attempt. But I couldn't delete you or your arrival any more than I could the other visitor. You're really quite difficult to ignore, you know. It's because the X2 antenna can be used to focus your alpha wave and the sonic sound wave projecto emitter. In short, brains, a heart, and courage. Spine. They had them all the time. Yes, this is getting interesting. Do you? And does it even want to go back with you? Maybe you should ask it. Tell you what, I'll leave it up to your brain. Indeed, the goodbye part.
You're my best friend forever.
Imaginary numbers right now. I'm imagining all sorts of imaginary numbers right now.
We're all lit up. Is it Christmas?
Well, look who finally dragged themselves in out of the wasteland. And where have we been, Crawling through pits of radioactive muck again? Ah, lovely. Figured that out, have we? Would you like a cookie? After the think tank extracted me from your skull, they fell to bickering amongst themselves. I'm sad to say we were quite forgotten. Dr. Mobius saw an opportunity. I don't know. I'm afraid the trauma of our separation rendered me quite insensitive. I'm quite sure whatever he did. Hardly. Dr. Mobius keeps a close. Well, as long. Yes, well, believe me, the opposite. Well, that's a completely different matter. The tank isn't. Oh, had I? What exactly will you do if I don't? Not put me back in that cranial dungeon you call your... You wouldn't. That's inhuman. You're a monster. A deranged, self-destructive monster. not going to lie to you. The prospect is definitely not... Look at it from my perspective. Here I have peace, quiet, and in your head, I've got poison. Do you know how much more you can get done when you're not constantly looking for places? Overrated biological feedback. Believe me. I suppose you're right. That does call certain assumptions. Indeed, quite the... I suppose there might be some advantage to that, yes. There's a chance that the reintegration would create some... Well, I suppose you've convinced me well enough. Unfortunately, before... Even if I could settle myself back in your skull and reconnect, we would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab, and I... Oh, lovely. We've reached the mindless violence portion of the program. Tell me, what exactly are you, and I use the word loosely, planning? Oh, energy weapons, yes. I'd almost forgotten how much... Right. Look out, think tank. This brain is coming out of it. I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the think tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Klein will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
Did I do something wrong?
Might I be of service?
The lobotomite returns. Our lobotomite. Has Dr. Mobius been denominated into scrap metal and voice module parts as we... A fight? I've never been in a fight. What do I... Colleagues! Think tank! Alert! Alert! We are under attack! Behold the power of science!
I'm going to rip out.
Does this weapon have soft lock? Anyone? Kill it!
As it had been in the years before the Great War, Big Mountain, the Big Empty, became home to one of the brightest minds of the 23rd century. The courier watched over the Big Empty for years to come, caring for it and keeping its discoveries safe until they were needed to help others. Which had always been Big Mountain's purpose. Past the laboratories and science, it had always been intended as a place to build the future of all mankind.
The Sync Central Intelligence Unit was impressed by the amount of exploration the courier had undertaken. Facilities believed lost, destroyed, or ones that had simply gotten up and walked to new locations. had been rediscovered by its intrepid new master. Internally, the artificial personality debated as to whether it preferred the old management to the new, and concluded that the courier's thorough approach to research and investigation was admirable and worthy of its respect.
Dr. Mobius continued his research undisturbed in the Forbidden Zone. As much as he had attempted to create better scorpions, he tried the same with humanity, with considerably less success. These failures didn't bother him overmuch. Once the rush of mentats wore off, he forgot he had failed in any event. After all, the bright young mind who had come to visit him in the Forbidden Zone had already exceeded his expectations.
The sink atop the dome bustled with the voices of a small town, constantly chirping, arguing, and snarling at each other. Still, this all happened productively in the interests of its new owner. The Sync Central Intelligence Unit discovered, despite its inversion code, it was comforted by the sense of community the other personalities gave it.
The biological research station, obsessed with seeding everything in sight, requested a transfer to the X-22 Botanical Garden, so that it might, in its own words, sensually fertilize the garden's smooth contours. The garden sent back a polite refusal, saying it had prior commitments with a vault it had helped infect before the war.
The book chute continued to devour all seditious materials until it nearly choked on a paperclip. It adamantly maintained it was a Chinese paperclip, and the whole thing had been an elaborately orchestrated assassination attempt. Whatever the reason, it slowed down for a while, carefully appraising each document and clipboard that came to it.
The light switches continued to bicker and flicker.
This persisted until the day someone dropped a flashlight in the sink, and the two of them united in their hatred of the showboat. One of them eventually transferred to the Lightwave Dynamics plant, and began a long, unrequited affair with one of the holograms.
The sink continued to ruthlessly scrub any particulate matter that came near it. Eventually, it gained access to the magnetohydraulics plant and nearly flooded all the big empty in an attempt to scrub the crater clean. Once it learned of the innovative toxins plant, however, it gained new purpose. It sought to develop antitoxins to flush into its drains and counteract the poisons bleeding into the soil.
The toaster continued its psychotic spree, reducing all appliances in range to scrap electronics and spare parts. After one of its more psychotic episodes, however, the other Sync personalities decided enough was enough and dumped the toaster in a bathtub. Sparking and hissing, the toaster swore its enemies would rue the day when they had bread and no way to toast it.
Muggy did his best to collect coffee cups, although in his quest, he accidentally trapped himself in Higgs Village. It might have been the end for poor Muggy. Except, he found it peaceful there, tidying up the kitchens of the think tank professors back when they had been flesh and bone. Well, except for Dr. O, who was an asshole for having created Muggy in the first place. Muggy left O's house deliberately dirty, punishing the dishes and cups that lived there in blind revenge for serving Dr. O.
Blind old Jefferson, with sounds the courier brought him, created a symphonic counter-frequency that saved Big Mountain from sonic invasion in 2910. If you didn't hear about it, good. It was rumored by the other personalities that he had a brief fling with the light switches. Although he forgot their names much too often and was soon left in the dark as punishment.
Autodoc, always gentle and methodical, kept sewing up the courier in all the right places when the skin split open from repeated wear and tear. The Autodoc was just glad to have purpose again. It heard its simpler brothers and sisters who got shipped to the Sierra Madre were bored out of their skulls in that toxic dead city. In time, the Autodoc found a way to deactivate the Y-17 trauma harnesses, releasing the corpses they had held prisoner for almost 200 years.
As the courier ran through the X-8 facility multiple times, the computers analyzed the test subject's movements. Rather than performing a superficial observation, they realized the subject barely knew what communism was, or even what a high school was. This confused them for a time, until the facility finally realized that its research had succeeded. So it let its cyber dogs out into the wastes to help protect small communities from physical aggression rather than communist propaganda.
The infiltration program in X-13 felt spent, having repeatedly upgraded the stealth suit until it could upgrade it no more. It felt warm, fulfilled, and a bit sluggish. It realized not long after, the stealth suit had left it without so much as a note on the nightstand. So the infiltration program sent out robo-brains into the wastes, looking for its wayward technology. It eventually found Repcon HQ and set up a new research center, testing and murdering fiends who kept breaking into the facility.
The courier, organs intact, continued onwards, a little less heavy of step, but with all the organs in the right places, as they should be. After all, brains can develop a life of their own when left to their own thoughts, and the courier's brain was more clever than most.
The think tank basement, filled with lobotomized robotical frames of the doctors, now served as a graveyard. The monitors had recorded the battle in its entirety, including the think tank's final, shrill, terrified screams, whimpers, and pleas for mercy. They broadcast these humiliating last moments as a warning to anyone approaching the perimeter that other smarty pants were not welcome. The courier was the inheritor of the Big Empty, and there was room for only one will in the halls of the think tank dome.
There is an expression in the wasteland, old world blues. It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was, eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, Old World Blues took on a new meaning. Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was old world blues, and new world hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves. Now armed with the transportal ponder, the courier could return to the dome at any time and crack open the secrets of the Big Empty one by one. The sink sat vigilant, waiting for its master to return, shoes covered in Mojave dust. Only one road yet remained, and it was one the courier had to walk alone. Might I be safe in the assumption that matters with the think tank had been satisfactorily concluded vis-à-vis your residence in this domicile?